Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Field Wake. The campaign arc is probably going to end here, possibly with the death of multiple characters. They have found themselves in a situation of their own doing that has resulted in them being wanted by multiple organizations, suspected by multiple organizations, and in the case of Bomber, unconscious in the chop shop of a in the case of Mr. Nets, unconscious in the chop shop of a backstreet surgeon. From here, basically, it is a matter of luck who gets to them first, essentially. And because it's a matter of luck who gets to them first, I have given each one a card detailing what their chances of each thing are. Snarbly Wolf could be released, he could be arrested, he could be detained under the mental health provision, he could be killed, or he could be rescued. Bomber could be arrested, killed, released, rescued, captured, or escape himself. And Mr. Nets, who is unconscious in the hands of Dirty Jim, the backstreet chop shop surgeon. After hitting her on the side of the head with a heavy oxygen bottle inside a bag and not managing to render her unconscious, she doesn't like him very much. So he has a 1 to 30% chance of being organ harvested, a 31 to 50% chance of being turned over to the police, a 51 to 70% chance of being blackmailed, a 71 to 80% chance of being sold to the highest bidder, an 81 to 90% chance of being rescued, and a 91 to 100% chance of being rescued specifically by Amanda.
Stop sounding so excited.
I can't wait for you to die.
Shall we start with Mr. Snarbly Wolf?
Can I go last? I'm gonna have like a little monologue at the end of this, please.
Is it gonna be a eulogy for whoever dies?
Please, just
Okay.
give me my monologue, please.
Okay,
If that's
All right.
if that's all right.
Mr. Bomber.
Alright, we'll start with the worst person this game has ever seen.
So the red is the larger percentage.
Tens.
So he's
40.
got a 42.
2. And on his
So
card,
he got
42
rescued. I hate you.
Bomber is
Oh
rescued.
yes, I'm alive.
And so
Damn
this is
it.
what happens. Bomber is lying in the hospital, in his secure ward, in his secure bed, and the window gets basically sort of, he hears a sound, and he looks over at the window, and the window has basically been covered with what looks like a sheet of fabric. And there's a little sound, and all around the edge of the window shatters quite quietly. And there's a little puff of smoke from the edge of the fabric, and the window comes away stuck to the fabric. And sitting on the sort of window ledge outside the window is a young woman wearing a armored suit, and she kind of looks in through the window, and she smirks at him, and she says, "Anheg wants a word."
I'll grab my shit and go.
Okay, so you grab your shiz and you head out. Mr. Nets,
I mean,
I don't want to do it.
pick up the dice, Toad. You
I'll do
shouldn't
it
have
for
tried to
you.
attack the surgeon, Toad.
I'll do it for
Shouldn't-
you if you don't.
No, let him do it. Shouldn't have attacked the surgeon, Toad. The surgeon doesn't like you now, Toad.
He
She
still
rendered
thinks
you
I'm cute
unconscious
though,
by
right?
She stabbed you in the spleen with the fucking scalpel.
91 to 100. 91 to 100, baby. See what you got.
Okay.
29.
No.
Wow. Sad to say.
No.
So close.
So
Shit.
close. That is
Damn,
literally
son.
1 point lower.
Yup.
Oh,
Damn.
that hurts. That hurts, Toad.
Oh, probably. I'm getting freaking Argon harvested.
Argon harvested.
Or Oregon, whatever.
Argon harvested.
Shut up. It's hard to
my.
brain right now. She's
Oh
taking that
my.
first. Ah.
But why would she want that though? You're stupid enough to attack her.
For medical science, how did something this dumb manage to breathe on its own? Oh, damn it. I really liked playing Nets, too.
Nets
He's
was a
an
wonderful
amazing character.
He was a wonderful
fantastic.
Am I
But
gonna die at
he
the end of
was-
every arc?
Possibly.
Oh my god, can it be tradition?
No!
Just mercifully kill off his character.
It's like he lives to the end. I was gonna axe him in the back of the head. I don't give a shit. No.
So that was surprising because that's like at the very least she could have turned you over to the police. Like I expected you to not get organ
Are
harvested.
you
Yeah.
kidding me? This has been... The last couple episodes have been the only episodes where I rolled high. Everything else sucked. And then it returns.
Oh shit. Thank you
I'm
for the
sorry,
laugh.
Toad, but I'm sure you can understand why.
No,
Unfortunately,
can't understand why I did half my stuff. Should have never happened. Oh.
unfortunately, Toad passes unconscious after being stabbed with a scalpel blade, and never wakes up again. Mr. Nets never wakes up again. Mr. Nets, who was a amazing low gravity engineer who lost his job with the corporation and ended up in the Challenger slums, took the first job he could get, which was working for Balar, and he ended up lying in a back street chop shop surgery, having offended the surgeon and run around doing everything he could to try and complete his job, although somewhat ineptly. Having offended the surgeon, he is harvested for organs and makes her a pretty penny on the black market.
And she gets my doodad.
And she gets you doodad.
Yes, I think she harvested you dad too though.
No, that's my thingamajig.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf.
Oh shit.
Alright, folks. I'm gonna let you know this right now. This has been my first ever tabletop campaign. I have to say, it was wicked, you know. Had some
It
ups,
was.
had some downs, killed a couple people, found out some dirty secrets, tied up some loose ends, and well, some loose ends may never be tied, you know. But so anyway, final role playing thing before the grand moment is decided. Snarby Wolf takes reaches over, grabs Jericho, and hugs him tightly, and says everything will be okay. And you know what? Everything will be okay. I grew too emotionally attached to this character, as you can tell.
Okay, yeah, dude, seriously, I'm gonna cry here, you little bitch. How dare you?
Yes!
Released without charge.
Yes!
Yes.
No! No!
Okay, okay,
Yes!
okay.
How did you
Dorian,
two get...
Can you read out that message, the note that I put in that is now? This is,
Yes.
Thank you.
So before I tell the story of Snarbly Wolf's release, just before this episode aired, I received a secret message from Mr. Bomber. Mr. Bomber states, having taught Snarbly Wolf the alphabet and bonded with him over his reading lessons, he is now Bomber's favorite person.
I hate
So
you
what
all.
happens? So what happens is Snarbly Wolf is originally suspected of the bombing, and he is investigated, but he's also tested as under the mental health provision because they have some issues where they think he might have mental health issues because he thinks his mask is magical. Surprisingly, as he has several times throughout his life, he holds it together and manages to pass his mental health exam. And he manages to convince the police that he wasn't involved, primarily because he doesn't seem smart enough to have built a thermal sensitive bomb, which is what they find out caused the original explosion. And this brings Snarbly Wolf the luck of being released from the hospital without charge. So, unfortunately, despite much searching, the Balar never find Nets. They knew he was involved and they wanted to talk to him about it, but they never find him. However, they find Snarbly Wolf and Bomber and they get taken to Anheg. And basically, Anheg explains that as much as they had tried to get information, as much as they had tried doing their job, unfortunately, things didn't work out. And the Balar have to move against the Drazni before things get out of hand. And this kicks off what is going to be subsequently known in a couple of sort of years' time as the Winter of Blood in the Challenger slums, as the Drazni and the Balar enter a conflict with each other that will see several thousand people killed on the streets as the armed forces of the Drazni and the Balar go against each other. Meanwhile,
We just started a civil
Sarah
war.
Karen.
We just started
Meanwhile, Sarah Karen pulls away from the slums and goes back to work for Saltec. Anheg is one of the people who leads the military actions of the Balar. He receives several injuries but survives. Surechi, one of the Drazni factory workers, is caught in a factory raid and gunned down despite the fact he was unarmed. And the slums descends into chaos. Bomber and Snarbly Wolf receive payment from Balar and are offered positions in the sort of armed forces that is going to be clashing with each other, but we can resolve that later on as the group decide where the campaign is going to go next. But the campaign...
Last question before it ends. Was I able to retrieve the documents and Fairsight from the locker?
No, the building, the manufactory burnt almost to the ground.
Okay, so there was... Okay, that's unfortunate.
What happened to, what was his name? The guy with the kids on Rashman?
The elevator guard with the kids who wanted to quit his work had handed in his notice the day before the explosion and didn't turn up for work that day. So he's fine. And the elevator guy is fine, and he's home with his kids.
What about the guy that I molested?
The Rashman was one of the people who received minor injuries from the event and was taken to hospital. He has psychological scars and radiation poisoning. He's going to die at the age of 45 from cancerous tumors caused by radiation exposure. He's going to walk with a limp for the next 10 years because of a piece of shrapnel that went through his knee.
Congratulations, Bomber. You sort of killed Rashman.
I mean, he died to cancerous tumors due to the radiation, which he would have had increased exposure to thanks to being a Fairsight dude. I mean, I'm not to blame entirely.
And the warfare between the Drazni and the Balar that will go on for the next year, it's primarily gang warfare. It's territory taking over. It's warehouses being given additional guards, warehouses being attacked, property being destroyed. And all of these disasters brought about by the actions of the players primarily. About 6 months later, 6 months down the line, the news is out that Obsalife have a new technology. Obsalife have a new thing they can do. Obsalife, at least in the early stages, has announced a early stage technology which it calls subconscious linked dreaming, which is designed for long, deep range space travel to allow people who suffer from mental health illnesses and suffer from space fever and things like that to connect to each other while asleep, to engage in social interaction and therapy, and to reduce the events of significant mental illness caused by long-term deep range space travel. And this brings the first chapter, or the first arc, of Field Wake to a close, with one character dying, a civil war erupting in the slums, multiple civilians dead, multiple secondary characters dead, and with Bomber and Snarbly Wolf sitting in their apartment, not knowing what to do next. And we will pick it up with perhaps the start of the next campaign arc, as we see what they've decided to do, where they go, and how the next campaign arc will tie in and will bring Snarbly Wolf and Bomber perhaps into even more disastrous events. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Even
What do you
more
want to say, Toad?
disastrous?
Hmm?
I I'm afraid.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we started a war with. I started a war. I absolutely annihilated like 50 people for absolutely no reason other than shit.
Well,
God damn.
you could run.
You could hang
Why?
yourself.
No.
Yeah, you could.
No. I could, but I'm not gonna. I ain't no bitch.
So, what I'd like to say as DM is I'd like to say thank you to the players, Mr. Blaster Toad, who is mounting these on the internet, mounting these on his YouTube channel, ToadNet. I would like to thank him for playing the most obnoxious, self-important, and yet emotionally crippled man, Mr. Nets.
It was really fun to play.
He was. He was a wonderful character. He was insane, but he was a wonderful character. I would thank 50 for playing Bomber, who was a anti-corporation psychopath who saw a box full of explosives and immediately decided he wanted the whole box of explosives without asking what they did or how powerful they were. And I would especially like to thank Vagabond in his first tabletop campaign, having never played a tabletop campaign before, for choosing perhaps the most difficult kind of character to play, who is a illiterate, short-worded, mask-wearing, crazy person, and playing him so beautifully, not only playing out the scenes beautifully, but writing his RPG notes. Like, before he became partially literate, Vagabond wrote his RPG notes by drawing pictures. That degree of in-depth role-playing is just an absolute pleasure to see as a DM, and it made us all laugh wonderfully every time he got into a conversation with someone.
It was fantastic. Snarbly
It was
Wolf
amazing.
was one of the best parts of this campaign.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So the next campaign arc will start later on, and basically the campaign arc will be decided by the players as they make a choice outside of the campaign to what their characters will do next. They could leave the slums. They could try and get work with a corporation. They could try and get onto a frontiering or a colonization group. They could take up with the Drazni. They could take up with the Balar. They could take up with the Worker Party. They could try and get work somewhere else. They could try and slip onto a civilian transport off-world. They could try and become world-famous sports stars. It's up to them as to which direction they choose to go, and which direction they choose to go determines where the next campaign arc will go. Between this campaign arc and the next one, we will probably have a penny campaign in which we'll have a couple of special guests, other YouTubers, and other people from sort of our groups of friends and relatives who might be interested in playing. That campaign arc is probably going to be a short 1 or 2 session arc in which we're going to have a little bit of fun, and it's going to be weird and different to what we've been playing. I'd just like to point out that when I started this arc, I asked the players what they wanted to play, and they said not horror. And I said, well, what then? Do you want to play a combat? Do you want to play an RPG? Do you want to play a espionage? And they all went, oh, espionage campaign. At which point I got...
I don't think I've answered that question, have I?
No, you didn't answer that question. But Bomber and Nets said espionage, and I received Snarbly Wolf, Bomber, and Nets for an espionage campaign. Just done. So that is the end of the first arc of Field Wake. Does anyone have anything to say?
Yes, on the way home I picked up a bag of mystery meat.
Whenever to 20.
Just I bought a bag of mystery meat on the way home.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
for all the viewers, and for the man who's been quietly enjoying his wonderful mystery meat, shall we reveal what it actually is?
Yes, why not? Mystery meat sold by the down stall in that particular market is a form of fake human meat. It is meat that is of human genome, So theoretically, it is human meat, but it has never been part of a living human being. It is to do with a corporation's experiments into long-term space hibernation and space sleep, and into a form of cloning style technology. And it basically gets sold off by the quarter ton to the food distribution group that distributes food around the slums when it becomes no longer useful.
So what you're telling me is
You've been cannibalizing
cannibal.
clones. Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a full cannibal now.
Yep.
Okay. I'm a terrorist cannibal.
Sounds like an album.
Terrorist cannibal.
The
Either an
terrorist
album or a heavy metal
cannibals.
band.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a heavy metal band.
Yep. So,
Oh,
Toad, what do you think of Nets' end?
I hate it. I wanted to continue. Nets was so fun to play. Like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do for another character. And to keep
Well,
it separate from Nets, like that, a
Mm.
different personality. It's gonna be different. But yeah, as for Zen, I can't blame anybody but myself. That's for sure. But I still hate you for it.
That's okay. You're allowed to hate the DM.
Oh. But again, thank you a ton for running another one of these with us, and
it's
it's been
fantastic.
entertaining. It's been fun. It's
Painful.
been painful. You take us over the roller coaster, and once we get a week to look back on it, it's always a fun ride. So, yeah.
So, at the end of the last campaign arc, or the last sort of penny campaign, Toad's character, Jake Long, had ended up getting the nickname Dogler, and that nickname stuck around for a while. We haven't really gotten nicknames for anyone in this campaign. However, I would like to suggest that from now on, at least for the next several days, Toad receives the nickname Chop Shop. Just in commemoration of Nets.
Yeah, just
Yep,
to like
done.
tear at those heartstrings and yeah.
Upset you a little bit. Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks
So
for that, droid. Love you too.
This has been Fieldwake, the campaign of the sci-fi adventure world in which magnetism plays the major role
Oh.
in technology, kind of like magnetic punk. And this has been the end of campaign arc 1. Next time we pick up Fieldwake, we'll be in campaign arc 2. The characters will have leveled up because they have certainly gained enough experience over that. They needed 50 experience, and they certainly gained enough experience over that to level up. So we'll be coming back to level 2 characters, and we will open with an introduction to the campaign and a discussion of what we have done with our characters since, as well as an introduction to Toad's new character. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you in the next campaign.